Welcome back to Pat and Go with Paul Browning. I'm your host, Paul Browning. It's great to be back in studio. As always, I have Guy Girtin with me.
Oh, great to see you, buddy.
Oh, man.
It's been a while, right?
It
Zoom
has been a
interviews
while.
and all these kind of things going on.
It's been a crazy past month. You know, a lot of moving around, a lot of moving parts. Even with that being said, I got to give all my love and praise to Mike Lewis.
Yes.
He has gone on and got a cool job.
Greener pastures.
Greener
so to speak.
pastures. He's doing some great things. So
Great guy.
that's the second guy to just,
Hey,
that's good. Hey, maybe
who's next? Is
who's
it you?
next to come?
It better not be you, Paul. I can't run this machine by myself.
Look, and you know what? I think that you're onto something there. Just to solidify this, what we're going to start doing, this is going to be a transition period from the Pat and Go show into the Paul Browning show. From there, we'll be able to talk all sports, get into basketball, baseball, whatever, and even more into entertainment and certain different things that I feel like I want to talk about.
You bet. And we will not leave out football.
We will definitely not leave out football. That is always 100% something that
You bet.
I know that we got to take care of. So with that being said, if you are watching on YouTube, make sure that you like and subscribe at KPPF 1040 AM Radio. We always appreciate that, and you'll be able to catch up on past episodes. As of now, I think it's time for us to get right back into things. This is the High Point.
It's time for the High Point, recapping all the highlights from the past week.
All right, so we've had so many games that have played and went through, and
These playoffs, Paul, I've seen a lot of playoffs.
Wow.
I've never seen anything quite like these, field goals to win games and overtime, and we'll talk about it.
right. So that was one of the things that I did want to start off. We missed the divisional game, or at least we didn't miss them. We seen them, but was not able to definitely talk about it. One of the greater playoff division rounds that we've ever seen.
All time.
Every single game was decided by a field goal kick. It was a real close game. And then on top of that, going into the NFC Championship and the AFC Championship games, those were also electrifying games.
And at the start of the year, if you would have said who was going to be in the Super Bowl, if you had some money and bet on it,
look,
I don't know. I don't think so.
It's absolutely incredible to see the growth of the Bengals, to see the team that they've become. And also, I think the Rams were a team that at the very beginning of the season obviously had a lot of firepower. We were able to see that. But them being able to beat Tampa decidedly twice,
Right.
that means a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Cooper Kupp playing excellent football with the Rams. Odell Beckham is stepping into his role.
And Von Miller.
Yeah, that
pieces
defense
came together, yeah.
Everything is coming together. So that's one thing that I am excited about when it comes to that Super Bowl. I was just talking with my brother. We used to watch all the NFL films and stuff, and I remember back in 1996, right? I'd be about 4 or 5 years old, right? They had the NFL yearbooks, okay, where they would go over all the previous teams' past years and kind of highlight the season. And two of the worst teams were the Rams and the Bengals.
Right.
Okay?
Not that long ago.
25 years later,
Here we are.
they're in the Super Bowl.
Right.
So I'm really happy for Bengals fans. I'm really happy for Rams fans. The Super Bowl is in LA. I'm crossing my fingers. I might show up.
That
to
would
that.
be great, wouldn't it? Hey,
might.
The Bengals are the home team. Did you
Bengals
see
are
that?
the home team.
In
They
LA.
are the home team in LA.
The Rams field, but hey.
And that's one thing I did want to ask you about. We'll get more into it when we talk 50-50, but something to chew on. Does home field advantage still exist? It is the Super Bowl. It is in L.A. The Rams are relatively new to L.A. in the past few years, and it's also L.A. entertainment capital of the United States.
Well, if you go by that Rams 49ers game there on that field,
Yeah.
there were more 49ers fans
Then there were
yeah.
Rams fans.
So,
Exactly.
I don't know what advantage that means.
Yeah, I know the Rams. That the organization is really hoping that we're hoping in the playoff game that the season ticket holders would not sell off their tickets.
Right.
Which I'm thinking a lot of them based off the amount of
Well, I'll tell you
49er
what.
fans that we had.
The Bengals deserve to be there.
Yeah.
They are the real deal. We were talking all year long. They were losing some games there, here and there.
Yeah.
But I'm going, hey, watch these guys.
Yeah.
Sure enough, here
Sure
they
enough,
are.
Yeah, and they beat all the good teams that you
Yeah.
have to beat, and it would put yourself into the Super Bowl.
And I know we'll talk about that Bills-Chiefs game and some other games, but there's another team, too, the Bills.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what.
The future of the NFL is great, which actually helps me transition into we're losing Tom Brady.
Yeah.
We're losing Tom Brady. It's bittersweet. It's bittersweet.
Anybody 22 years old or younger has never known the NFL
without him,
without the GOAT.
I mean, and for me, for a majority of my life, it has been with Tom Brady. Watching him play. I mean, he came in 2000. So I mean, that's
right.
That's basically all the football for me.
It's kind of sad.
I was watching.
It really is. I can't say that I blame him.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got his health and he's basically on top.
Yeah.
And still had a great year.
That's all. I mean, what you don't want to see is him come back to Tampa Bay, and then they don't go to the playoffs.
Right. It's
or
better.
He's on the decline.
It's better to leave too early than to leave too late, right?
Yeah, he played one of his. I mean, this was one of his better seasons as well. I mean, he had an excellent season. He had so many moving parts in Tampa, and to take them all the way to that divisional game,
right?
That divisional round. Still, I mean, hats off to Tom Brady. We're losing him. Is he the undisputed GOAT?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
I believe so.
I've had plenty of arguments already. Definitely, and I know I had one with my dad. We're talking about Joe Montana.
Yeah.
And I mean,
no doubt. There's a Johnny Unitas. I mean, you go Bart Starr, you go on and on. There's been a lot, but I don't know. His numbers, they're hard to disagree with.
Right, 100%.
And 7 Super Bowl and 2 teams. Each and Tampa Bay wins the Super Bowl with him. So, I mean, it's kind of hard to argue.
Yeah.
He's the GOAT at quarterbacking.
So one of the main arguments that I did here, I will wrap here, was, when it comes to the NFL now and the rule changes, I've heard that defenses are not as hard. It's not as more difficult. Quarterbacks aren't being hit. They're being babied a little bit more.
Right.
Do you think any of that puts an asterisk next to Tom Brady's name and being the GOAT?
Well, yes.
Yeah.
Because the rules have changed quite a bit. It's not the same game as it was 30 years ago, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But I don't know. And, of course, we add a game.
Yeah.
This year as well, now going forward. So all records, O.J. Simpson, pick somebody who had that 2,000-yard season.
He did it in 14 games.
14 games, right. So maybe there is a little asterisk. We'll see.
Yeah, well, definitely. Well, we're going to keep it going. Stay tuned. This is Pat and Go with Paul Browning. Up next, we are going to be able to get a little bit into the Brian Flores situation and also – is the NFL rigged? It's an excellent question.
Good question.
And we're going to cover some of those things. Just stick with us. This is Pat Go with Paul Brown. Welcome back to Pat and Go with Paul Browning. I'm your host, Paul Browning. As always, I've got Guy Girtin with me.
Great to be here, Paul. Talking football.
Always talking.
Super Bowl.
Oh, man.
A lot to talk about.
A lot to talk about. So many things. The past few weeks have been going on. And like we covered earlier in the 50-50 segment, Tom Brady's retiring. We've got the Bengals and the Rams in the Super Bowl. All type of storylines.
Well, as you can see by my notes here, if anybody can see, we're ad-libbing it today a little bit. See those extensive notes, Paul?
Well, there's so much to talk about. You don't need to write down any notes.
It's all right here.
On top of all those changes, we also had a whole bunch of coaching changes. The Broncos ended up finding a head coach. There's been plenty of firings. We already went over all of those.
Right.
So there's a lot of movement, and there's still some coaches that may be hired here in a little bit. I know Eric Bieniemy is a big time candidate.
Thought he might be coming to Denver there for a minute.
Yeah, that would have been a nice little homecoming to bring him back from
nice.
being a CU running back, all-time great. Having him come back, that would be something that would be excellent. But he is now interviewing for that Saints job.
He's going to get a job here one of these days.
Oh, 100%, 100%. Now, this past week, we've also seen the Pro Bowl festivities. I don't know if you got to check a little bit of them on Thursday.
Yes.
They had the fastest man in the world.
Right.
Which Tyreek Hill did not win.
He did not.
Which it looked like he was loafing. He was chilling. He was not trying to win that thing at all. I don't blame him. Last thing you want to do is pull a hamstring and do something stupid because you want to run a race.
There's no one faster than that guy.
Yeah.
Dash.
Micah Parsons did win it though at linebacker. He's an excellent athlete from the Dallas Cowboys. But yeah, we had that. They added in this catching challenge where it's like you do trick catches. I'm still not.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm sold on that one.
I'm not sold on that one. I get what they're trying to. They try to hype it like a dunk contest or something. And
I don't know. The football, it's never quite been the same as like the baseball's got the home run.
Yeah.
And basketball, of course, kind of started it all with 3-pointers and slam dunks. But the NFL is trying to come up with something.
They're still trying to figure out their way. They still have the passing precision drill, which, I mean, I know we've seen that since Brett Favre and Steve Young and them were playing. That's one thing. I'm glad that they've brought the skills challenges back. I think it's something that's pretty cool.
Right.
Now the dodgeball is still probably king of what's going on with the skills challenge.
Right.
People love watching the dodgeball game. Yeah, so
if you notice, the NHL All-Star goes this weekend too.
That's on Saturday. Yeah,
and they're hitting pucks through the Bellagio fountains at Vegas. So they figured something else. I don't know if you saw that or not.
You got to make it fun. You got to add some. What's the little thing?
Right.
I think basketball and baseball will always kind of trump them all with the dunk contest and the home run derby. Those are two of the greatest All-Star games you could possibly have. So I always love that. But this is still pat and go, and I do know that we need to start throwing some flags. And so let's just get right into it. This is Flag on the Play.
Here's your Flag on the Play, covering the biggest stories and controversies leading up to kickoff.
So when we're doing Flag on the Play, obviously it's something that's grinding my gears, all right?
Well, that could be quite a few things. That's right.
But one of the things that I did want to kind of jump into, it's a tough subject. It's a tough subject, and I'm open to having this conversation. But Brian Flores, all right, the head coach of the Miami Dolphins, is suing the NFL for their processes of hiring. Saying that they are discriminating against black head coaches when it comes to hiring. And he also brought up some pretty lofty allegations when it comes to the NFL and owners saying, hey, we'll pay you a little bit. We'll incentivize you losing so we can get better draft picks.
Right.
Which
tank is what the word you're searching for.
That's the one.
Is that something that really happens? The tank? I don't know. I don't know if it does or not.
So I do. First things first. Let's just jump right into the Brian Flores thing. I know I talked about it last week over the Zoom. I do believe that there are some issues when it comes to the hiring of black head coaches in the NFL.
Well, why would he put his reputation on the line and his career and his future unless there must be some merit to that? But you look at the other side of it. Here's my humble opinion. These guys want to win. There's so much money involved. Every team out there, the name of the game is to win. I really think they're looking for the best person. I don't care if they're green, purple, black, white, yellow, whatever. They're looking for the best person. If they're not, then they're just hurting themselves.
Right.
So honestly, I think they're just trying. I don't think they look at that. I don't know. I have no proof. Just my opinion.
But this is why we have the platform.
Right.
Now we could talk about it, have that conversation. One of the things that I did see with the Brian Flores situation, he did bring to light, I know just you were talking, trying to find the best candidate. One of the reasons why he thinks that his whole interview was a sham was he had received a text message from Bill Belichick, that is the head coach of the New England Patriots, congratulating him for receiving the head coaching job with the Buffalo Bills, which Bill Belichick accidentally texted Brian Flores. He was texting the wrong Brian. Right. He was texting Brian. I can't pronounce his last name. He was the offensive coordinator for the Bills for getting the head coaching job for the Giants. Excuse me. If I said Bills, I meant the Giants.
Right.
So offensive coordinator for the Bills ended up getting that head coaching job, and Bill Belichick sending that congratulatory text. Brian Flores had not had his interview. He hadn't had it yet.
Oh,
so that was one thing in his head where he said, you know what, they already hired the guy. They're literally bringing me in to check off the Rooney Rule, which for those who don't know the Rooney Rule, the NFL is each team has to have at least one external minority coach interview for the head coaching job in person. And also for a GM position. They have to do that in order to
right. And that puts them in if you're a black coach or a white coach, wouldn't you want to be hired for your merit and for what you can do?
Yeah.
I got here because I'm a good coach.
Yeah.
I know how to coach athletes.
I'm an excellent coach.
I don't care what I look like.
Yeah.
But
so that's but that's one of the things where Brian Flores, he's trying to bring that to attention where he's going, well, maybe he's saying that it's confirming it, that, a lot of black head coaches, they're going, I've got the talent. I know I've got it, but there's a lot of times I'm being brought into an interview that I'm not even going to get.
Right.
Because they've already had the guy
to meet the quota.
Right. They have to check off that box of the Rooney Rule. So I think that is where my flag starts out. There's just so many questions in that, and this is now going to court.
Yeah.
So the answers that we don't have, they're gonna figure it out.
Right. I don't know if you noticed a couple of days ago, or was it yesterday, that John Elway finally came out and said, "I gotta speak about this." And he said he treated him professionally. He was in the running. Yeah. And some of the things they were saying that he was saying about the Broncos, where they showed up late. Mm-hmm. They were, I guess, intoxicated.
Hungover. He said the Broncos front office during the interview, they showed up late. He said it's the only interview he's ever seen. There's been anybody's been late. And then
but John
they
came
were
back.
hungover.
Yeah, and he said no. It was 7 a.m. We flew all night. Yeah. It was the only window we had. Yeah. We were there. So who knows?
Who knows? Yeah. We're going to see. It's going to go to litigation. One thing that I will point out, though, is since the inception of the Rooney Rule, there's actually less black head coaches than there were before it.
Right. Huh.
Don't know what that means. Yeah. But there is only one black head coach in the NFL, and that's Mike Tomlin.
Right. And I know there's several out there that are qualified. Vance Joseph. Give him another shot at it.
Brian Leftwich, Eric Bieniemy. You look at Brian Flores, Hugh Jackson.
This to say about Brian Flores too, it does make you wonder why he was let go at Miami. I mean, he had 2 seasons, right?
Yep.
And they were
24 and 25. Or 3 seasons. 3 seasons. He went 24 and 25, with the first season being 5 and 11. So he's had back-to-back.
But that show, I mean, at 500, he was building that program. Yeah. I don't know what happened there, but for his defense and on his side, he's a good coach.
And on top of that, what you're saying, that kind of moves us into the whole Brian Flores putting out the allegations to the Dolphins that they were saying, hey, late in the season, we'll incentivize it. He's saying, hey, not necessarily throw the game.
Right.
But he's saying, hey, go on vacation. Hey, don't prepare the way you would normally prepare.
And I'll pay $100,000.
Pay $100,000 because that's the thing that people don't understand. When it comes to the NFL, the window, it really is this big. It's this big between winning and losing. That line is super thin. So, I mean, if your team decided not to practice for 2 days out the week, that may affect
Right.
winning the game. If you don't go through film study for that's going to affect if you win that ball game or not.
Or you have your left tackle just, grab that guy. One play. If it's a crucial play, grab him and get the holding call.
Well, that's the thing. Now, that's where, and we'll jump into this when it comes to if NFL gets rigged. I don't know I can't say that players, I wouldn't say players are involved in it unless it became to a player doing his own, on his own point shaving on the side.
I don't see how that could happen. And you as a player, you would know that more than anybody.
So that is something where I think that coaches can play a part in, and like I said, we'll jump into this rigging conversation. But I think coaches can play a part when it comes to, all right, yeah, I'm incentivized to lose this ball game. Hugh Jackson just came out and said that he can also back that up when he was with the Cleveland Browns. Right. This is after I was there.
Right, of course. And you look at the Browns today, and they're stacked with great players, a great team.
Great talent.
So does it work? I don't know. It was 4 years of tanking, as they say.
Yeah,
I can't believe that. But it's possible.
They for them to tank they went 0-16, 1-15, just terrible records. Now they have a lot of that talent, but what's to show for it now? Odell Beckham is now left the building. Right. You've got a beat up Baker Mayfield who didn't have the greatest of seasons. You got an all-pro running back. I think they may trade Jarvis Landry.
Yeah, and Baker, what's going to happen with Baker? Who knows? There's rumors about Rodgers maybe going there and Tampa Bay. And that's another story.
And the Tennessee Titans. We may see Aaron Rodgers with the Tennessee Titans, too. So there's a lot more to talk about.
One other about that, too, is the NBA going to the lottery system several years ago for the first pick with the ping pong balls and whatnot. So it makes you wonder, the NBA knew something.
Maybe the NFL
could do something like that. Mm-hmm. Is that the answer?
It would definitely get rid of the whole tanking thing.
Yeah.
Because you may tank and not get.
Yeah, you're not guaranteed that number one pick. Yeah, right.
That may do it. So, but that is going to wrap it for Flag on the Play. Once again, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe at KPPF 1040 AM Radio. That's Guy Girtin. I am Paul Browning. This is Pat and Go. Stay tuned. We're going to figure out, is the NFL rigged? See you in a second. Welcome back to Pat and Go with Paul Browning. I'm your host, Paul Browning. Of course, I've got Guy Girtin in the studio.
Paul. Great to be here with you, buddy.
Man, 100%.
Talking football, man.
You know it, and it doesn't get any better. We're here at Mountain Country Radio, like always.
It's a little warmer in here with the padding around us.
It is. I'm,
been in the glass tube out there.
Not as many people walking by just watching us do what we're doing.
It's nice in here.
Yeah, no, it's totally fine. We've been able to cover so many topics, but I think this is the one that is really fun for us. But before we even get there, if you are watching on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe to KPPF 1040 AM Radio. We see it all. We love the appreciation. And you can also go back and watch some of the former interviews, former player interviews, former coach interviews. We've got some actors. We've got some cool stuff.
Rod Smith.
Man. Come on back and check out some of those older interviews, some of the older episodes. So we've got that for you guys. But now, as always,
here we go.
The conclusion of, or the big climax, I guess. This is Under the Hood.
It's time to go under the hood. We're taking an in-depth look at the topics on and off the field that shape our game.
All right, so when we go under the hood,
where do you start?
This is going to be, where do we start here? Because this is something, it was brought to my attention about 2 weeks ago. My brother sent me a text of this video on YouTube, getting a lot of buzz. This guy throwing all type of, hey, NFL is rigged. Mm-hmm. He's just and bringing up a whole bunch of things that are, a bunch of videos, examples, and I'm going, all right, as a player, I'm going, all right, there's really an explanation for all of these things, but there is also an explanation for what he's saying. I think that it is, there may be some validity in it. This has been one of the greatest, for me, one of the greatest NFL seasons we've had in the past few years.
Oh, absolutely. The playoffs have been the best.
The playoffs have been absolutely excellent. But, I mean, I don't want to slide past that regular season. Mm-hmm. The regular season we had, there were so many teams just fighting to get to the playoffs all the way up into the last few weeks of the season.
The last week.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then we probably had one of the greatest football games ever at that very last Sunday night game with the Chargers-Raiders game that went into OT.
Everything going on with that.
Man, there was 10 points scored in OT, and that went.
Pittsburgh Steelers are sitting there at home. Wait a minute.
There were so many great things that we had seen this year.
You know, that Dan Carlson went to TCA, the kicker for the Raiders.
Yes.
Did you know that?
Yeah.
He was actually kicking for the Steelers. When you stop and think about it, for that winning field goal, he misses it. The Raiders are in, and the Chargers are in because they end in a tie.
Yeah.
He makes it. The Raiders are in. The Steelers are in. So, really, he was kicking for the Steelers.
The Steelers need to send a little gift package. They got to send that over because that's –
that's a whole hour to talk about that game right there.
But, just kind of getting back on the point, this has been one of the best seasons we've seen. So then for these allegations to start coming out, or people to start going, hey, like NFL's rigged, boom, 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 boom. NFL wants to see these people in the Super Bowl.
Makes you wonder.
Makes you wonder.
It would be hard to do.
Yeah.
I mean, you and as a former player and as an athlete, you're working every day, you're busting every day, doing your best. But sometimes some of the calls, we talked about when the ref butted. Who was that? The Bears.
Oh, the Bears in the Steelers game.
Yeah.
The ref come back and then throws the flag on him. Yeah,
and all it takes is one or two crucial calls in a crucial part of the game that can turn it one way or the other. Yeah. I think, my opinion, it would be very hard to rig a game, get away with it. There's just too much at stake. Yeah. There's too much money, too many eyes watching. You think, but
well, I brought this question up. I went straight to my Facebook because Facebook knows it all, right?
Right.
So I went straight to my Facebook and I asked that question. I said, "Hey, is the NFL rigged? Yes or no? And if yes, how so?" And so I want to read off some of the.
This is interesting.
You love it. I want to read off some of these posts. So Misha Lauer says yes. It's because it's a business, just like everything else. At the end of the day.
Good point.
Makes a good point there. The NFL is definitely a business. There's a lot of money to be made when it comes to, especially now that there's gambling has been so heavily present into sports betting is huge.
Bigger every year.
Every single year. So that definitely plays a huge part. I do understand what she's saying there. It is a business just like everything else. So she says, yes, it is rigged. You can control that thing.
Right.
Tony Sarcomo, he said, honestly, sometimes it does feel like it. Refs calling horrible calls at crucial times, holding not being called for certain teams dominating, then all of a sudden give up a huge lead often. Prevent defense never works, but teams still use it. Not to mention betting becoming huge, and somehow almost every time Vegas wins. I feel it happens more with football than anything, but could just be how it looks because it doesn't make sense.
Right. And pass interference can go either way all the time.
Yeah.
Those guys are always hand checking.
Yeah.
That's a call right there. And they've tried to deal with that with the new rules, pass interference. But, man, a crucial call, 4th down and 12, and it's incomplete. Nope.
Yeah.
Pass first down.
Yeah.
It just keeps the drive going. It keeps
we watched that 49ers Dallas Cowboys game. I think that was a playoff game. I think that was a huge example of that when the Cowboys were just trying to get off the field and penalty after penalty after penalty. But, at the same time, that kind of runs into the disciplinary part, which kind of goes into the last part of this, where Tony is saying he feels like something would have been leaked by now. Like if somebody would have leaked it, and he says players don't know, but coaches and staff and some refs do. Does not know, but that can be something that I think that may be the most realistic comment I've seen yet. I know one of the examples from that video that I said that my brother had sent me was from I don't want to mistake the player, but I think it was Dwight Smith. He was a safety for the Super Bowl winning Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he went on the radio. He did an interview, and he was basically saying that the game was called. The NFL knows who's going to win the Super Bowl before the Super Bowl even happens. He said that the Raiders ran the John Gruden offense against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which doesn't make sense. Why would you do that? Why would you run that offense?
Right.
He says this. He said the Saints, but then he really contradicted himself also because he said they said, oh, okay, so you don't believe you guys were the best team in the league, and he said no, because if we were the best team, then we wouldn't have lost to the Saints twice that year. We lost to the Saints twice that year.
Right. But wouldn't it make sense though to have, say, the Chiefs and the Green Bay Packers in the Super Bowl this year? If you're in it for the money, and if it's rigged,
right,
wouldn't they want those two teams in there with Mahomes and Rodgers? And
wouldn't you want Tom Brady in before he retires?
Exactly. It makes you wonder.
Is that not something that would you want a bigger market than
the Cincinnati
Bengals?
Right.
Why haven't we seen? Why did we never see the Tom Brady Aaron Rodgers Super Bowl?
Right. If it's rigged, that's what they would want, right?
We didn't see a Peyton Manning Aaron Rodgers Super Bowl.
Right. And if you lose your integrity, you lose it all. Yeah. They would lose the league if it came out.
Yeah.
Which is a point for it can't be rigged. Yeah. There's too much to lose, right?
Yes. So I'm gonna read off a couple more of these because these are I just want to see where people's minds are at. Dom Harris says, I mean, you look at the Brian Flores situation. We just talked about that. Just said as if an NFL owner pays coaches $100,000 per loss, you're playing your butt off for the coach, not knowing the whole time he's calling expletive plays, poop plays,
right.
On purpose. It's a lot about variables, especially in team sports and individual sports. Another Michael Wilburn says, yes, in various ways. It doesn't have to be as blatant as who wins the game. Simple things that can manipulate it. F1, or Formula One, has a rule that tire manufacturers can't make a tire that lasts longer than 50 miles because it makes the race more exciting. It's a legal regulation that's specifically for that reason.
Did not know that.
So, there was so many that went in here, and I know that I could go into a lot of them. I know a lot of people talk about gambling and things of that nature. So we're not done with talking about the NFL being rigged. I actually plan on having more dialogue with players and getting players in and even coaches who are in the NFL to be able to speak on it.
And be honest.
And be honest about it, because there's so many times where people say, well, NFL players sign NDAs and can't speak totally on how much everything is going on.
Right.
So I'm gonna give my thoughts on the whole rigging situation as a whole. When you look at the NFL, I know for me when I got there, yes, the veil has been pulled from my eyes, and now I'm seeing the game as what it is. It is a business. The NFL is totally a business.
Absolutely.
So, going into that, it totally wrecks what I believe what it was when I was just a fan and I was a kid, because there's so much more that goes into that. On top of that, we've talked about with it being a business, players being able to be traded and let go of, and not taken care of is what we would have thought of, just like how Von Miller was just traded away.
It's nothing personal.
Nothing personal. We just want to win.
It's a business.
So the business aspect is 100%. I totally agree with that. But one thing that really sticks out to me is you cannot be a couch quarterback or a Monday morning quarterback.
Right,
is that what they call
quarterback,
it? Monday morning quarterback. The feats and some of the accomplishments that are happening on that field and off that field from the NFL players, I know because I was a part of it. I'm not going to lie. A lot of those who watch it and think, hey, he should have done this, he should have done that, he should caught that ball. He could have.
Yeah.
If I took you off the couch and I put you in the game and I lined you up against Jalen Ramsey and I lined you, it doesn't got to be Jalen Ramsey. It could be a fourth string practice squad guy.
Right.
The chances are you're going to get your butt kicked straight up. Right. That's just the chances are, because the things that we are accomplishing here in the NFL, there's some real physical feats. When you watch Odell catch that pass off
Right.
3 fingers, and he barely seen it. Okay, 9 times out of 10, I know he practices it, but in a game situation, pass interference, it's a deep ball. It's not no 10-yard pass. This isn't the catching challenge that they did in the Pro Bowl. It's not that. It's a 50-yard pass down the field. It's a bomb. There's a holding, and you pull that. He catches that. 9 times out of 10, he's not making that catch. You look at the Super Bowl, the Giants and the Patriots, okay? If that game was rigged, okay, to have the Patriots go undefeated and then get to the Super Bowl and lose to the New York Giants.
On a helmet.
On a helmet catch.
What was that all about?
That is, you just cannot script that.
Right.
You cannot script that play. I'm telling you, as a player who can, some of the things the physical feats that I can do when it comes with catching the football, I'm telling you, I'm pretty dang good at it. I was a professional. All right. Some of those things that we see on Sunday, I'm in awe.
Yeah, you can't. The Chiefs-Bills is a perfect example. You couldn't script that finish of that game. 13 seconds. Oh, you left too much time on the clock for Mahomes.
13 seconds.
And then you go back to the end of the first half when the Chiefs are down there with first down on the 1-yard line, and they don't score.
Can't score.
And he threw that one over to the side. It was Tyreek, and he couldn't get in. And you wonder sometimes, too, well, what kind of a call was that? Or every time the Broncos run Javonte Williams up the middle on first down, change the play, please. Throw something on I love Javonte. He's great. But every time the opposing team knows it's going to Javonte up the middle.
Game plan.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and that goes into what I'm saying as well. When it comes to preparation of doing this, the players are putting so much on the line. Why? Because our jobs aren't guaranteed. This is the only sport. Right. And people can talk about the NFL being rigged and players being, paid to keep their mouth shut, blah, blah, blah. There are players who retire and go broke.
Yeah.
The NFL isn't paying. They're not paying like that. They don't take care of players like that. They do not. So to try to say that the game is rigged and it's hush-hush, it's mind-blowing to me, especially when it comes to what you're saying for the players who play the game.
Too much at stake.
To say
their careers.
I don't want to lose my job. I don't, getting hurt, there's guys get hurt like bad.
Right.
Guys get hurt. They lose their careers off some. That's not something that, you don't play around with that. To think that it's scripted. I've played scripted football before. Okay. All right. I was in American Underdog, the football movie for Kurt Warner. That was scripted football. Right. We knew who was going to score a touchdown, and you know what? We couldn't play at 100% speed. We had to slow the game down and play at about 75%. That's how we had to do that. Now, when it comes to coaching, that
some
is
calls
another
are
thing.
Questionable.
So, and that goes back into my Brian Flores situation. I understand where your opinion is on teams want to win. I also believe that when you do look at the NFL owners, it is a little bit not as money. Inclusive. It's a lot of money, but it's not as inclusive. So you have some of the same people in the same room making sure that the NFL runs the way it's supposed to.
Right.
That's why you don't have any different owners that show up. I know Sean Puffy Combs, he's a rapper, whatever, a lot of money. He wanted to be a part owner of the Carolina Panthers, become a part of ownership, and they kind of vetoed it so he wouldn't be a part of it.
Right. And the fact that the owners have a vote on that makes you wonder a little bit too. Don't all the owners have to vote on a new owner coming in? In fact, that brings up the Broncos again.
Exactly.
We'll see what happens there.
So that's something I know. The station manager for KPPF owner Flo, he came to me just on a joke. He said, "Hey, let's buy the Broncos."
Right.
And I laughed. I said, "Man, it's not that easy."
That's right.
It's not that easy to just buy the Broncos.
Even if we had $4 billion.
Even if we did, it's not that easy. They got to kind of let you. They gotta kind of let you in. So when it comes to that, when I talk about the owners. And how much the NFL is, you think about how guys get jobs. A lot of times it's not just the best guys playing out there. On top of it being the best guys playing, it's also who do you know?
Right.
So when it comes to the coaching staffs, yes, I can totally see teams going, all right, well, we'll make sure this coaching – see, look at coaching trees, how they're all tied into it.
Right.
All right, this coach, he knows this coach. He recommends this guy. We'll bring him in. He recommends this guy. We'll bring him in. And you keep it this close-knit group. If you're not in, you're never going to be in.
Right.
So unless you got somebody who's going to let you in, you're out.
Makes sense. Yep.
So with that being said, I do think that when it comes to the higher level of coaching, I don't think that there's throwing games at like the Super Bowl. No, I don't think that's true. Mm-hmm. I do believe that tanking exists. I do 100% believe in that. And
the last 2 weeks of the season, when you're right there for the first pick,
right?
Bet. I can see that.
For the competitive nature of the game and who these coaches are, no, I'm in no way, in shape, or form do I believe that coaches are giving the game away.
Right. Their career is at stake.
No, yeah, they want to coach as well.
Yeah, if you don't win, you don't hang around.
But I mean, there's so many things where we can dive into that. I do think John Gruden is a perfect example of the kind of John Gruden situation is a perfect example of kind of how that works, how it being like this boys club of guys who are locked in, and the fact that John Gruden can get a job and those emails getting leaked, but not everybody's emails.
No, just his.
Just him. Just him is getting it. That's the ones that were found. I think we'd find a lot more if that there was a real deep dive investigation into what were in those NFL emails that were sent out.
Might be right.
And some of the
choices for coaches sometimes make you wonder too. I know a couple of years ago when the Broncos were looking, I always thought to Shanahan, oh, come on, he's got ties to the Broncos, his dad, and he's this great offensive mind. Let's bring Shanahan in.
Back, yeah.
No. And there must be something there with John Elway, because he was a little kid when Elway was playing. The little kid playing on the sides.
Yeah,
I don't know, but you look at Shanahan, what he's done. Where he goes to the Niners and he's having great success. Yeah. And I think we went with Fangio, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
With that one, yeah.
We did.
So anyway, makes you wonder.
Yeah, it does. The last part of where I'm going to say, and then we'll wrap here. When it comes to the refs.
Yes.
That may be a different statement. That we may be talking about something totally different when it comes to the refs. Refs coaching, the biggest thing, like I said, for my man Tony Sarcomo, he said, and I loved how he said it, the players maybe don't know, coach, some staff, refs maybe know. If there was any type of rigging, that's the only way that I would see it going through, would be on something like that. I don't see the refs. I don't see the players playing a part in it. They don't have that as much value as players think. I mean, as fans think. I don't see coaches. A lot is on the stake for them.
You would know. You're sitting there as a player.
I would know, and I'm gonna get more guys in to talk about this. I think this was that's kind of the biggest thing when it comes to the reaction to that. I want to do more when it comes to that rig topic.
One quick note about the refs. I don't know if you remember several years ago that NBA ref who got in big hot water, and I think what it boils down to, he was betting.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, one or two call. Oh, that's charging the other way with 10 seconds left in the game.
Can totally sway a game.
And that also brings up Pete Rose with baseball.
Yeah.
And they didn't let him manage anymore. And he says, yeah, he was betting, but not on the Cincinnati Reds.
Yeah.
Not on other games. But it's all together,
Because he's got more of a idea of what's going on than everybody else. He's in it. He's doing a game plan. He knows the other managers. He knows. Yeah, so
right. And if the Giants beat the Dodgers, well, that affects the Reds.
Right.
So, so that's a can of worms.
Exactly. No, exactly. So that's going to do it for Under the Hood, though. Stay tuned because we're going to talk Super Bowl when we come back with 50-50. I'm Paul Browning. That's Guy Girtin. We'll be back just in a second. This is Pat and Go.
Here we go.
Welcome back to Pat and Go with Paul Browning. I'm your host, Paul Browning. Of course, I've got Guy Girtin.
Great talking today. I'll tell you what, a lot to talk about.
We're getting into some topics, some hot topics. We already talked a little bit about rigging. We talked a little bit about
Coach Flores.
Coach Flores. We've talked a little bit about Tom Brady and the Super Bowl. It's been such a crazy season, and I'm so glad that we are at this point. Like I said, to me, one of the greatest football seasons that I've ever watched.
I'm excited for the Super Bowl, too.
Man.
I think it's going to be good.
Yeah, and speaking of the rigging, if this was rigged, this is a game that I'm glad I'm going to be able to see. The Bengals have not been in the Super Bowl
since 89?
What, 89?
Yeah.
It's a really long time ago. Was that 32 years ago?
And that Joe Burrow is the real deal, too.
He is a man. He's Joe Burrow.
Yeah,
so he's
and Mixon and that whole team.
Yeah, so it's a really good team, and it's a smaller market. I'm glad to see a smaller market team like the Bengals. They're finally in the Super Bowl. They've got the Rams, of course. The Rams with so much star power. I'm glad to see Matt Stafford in the Super Bowl finally.
Yes, and that's a question, too.
Oh,
the poor guy,
man.
he's put in years.
Oh, so many years.
He never complained, just did his work, did the best he could. Tried to bring a winner to Detroit. Here he is. He's finally got there.
So it's going to be a pretty cool week next week, and I'm hoping they've got plenty of good sound bites during the week with media. But for right now, let's get into 50-50.
It's time for 50-50, our weekly predictions. These can go either way.
All right, so 50-50 this week. We're going to talk Bengals, Rams. We're not going to pick them. I want to save that for next week.
Okay.
We're going to save that for next because we got to hear these interviews.
That's right.
We got to hear all these things that are going on. Then we're going to pick. We're going to let the Pro Bowl go. I don't want to pick the Pro Bowl. I don't really care.
Right.
But when we look at the Super Bowl, we kind of hyped it up. You got the small market Cincinnati Bengals who haven't seen Super Bowl success ever.
No.
You've got a team in the Rams who've only won one Super Bowl before, but they had the greatest show on turf.
And they were in St. Louis.
And they were in St. Louis. And it's the first time them being back in L.A.
Right.
And going to Super Bowl since, 1979, I believe they went and played the Pittsburgh Steelers, which was also in L.A.
Yeah.
Terry Bradshaw was able to get that Super Bowl win.
Yeah,
for
who was the
Steelers.
quarterback? Ferragno? What was his name? I don't remember.
Something like
it
I
was
know
a
you're
while
talking
back.
about. Yeah.
That
guy. He was a ball player. That was a good Rams team. Jack Youngblood. He played with a broken leg.
Yes.
That's
a good team.
Some of the So the Rams. Having them back in the Super Bowl has been really cool. You got Odell Beckham, probably one of the bigger stars in the NFL, finally in the NFL in the Super Bowl. Aaron Donald, the best defensive player in the league. He's maybe the best player in the league. Also in the Super Bowl, Von Miller back in the Super Bowl. And Matt Stafford, Detroit, make noise. Matt Stafford's in the Super Bowl.
And Cooper Kupp.
He's the Triple Crown winner.
Yeah, he could be MVP. I mean, he could be.
That's my vote.
Yeah.
That is my vote for the MVP. I know our receivers never won it. I also play receiver, so you know where I'm going.
There you go.
But
he deserves it.
He deserves it. Yeah. And the Rams would not be where they're at without him.
Right.
He won both of the games for him this past week.
And
he won against the. He had a big catch against the Rams to set him up to win. He had a huge catch against Tampa to put him over the top for them to win that ball game. Cooper Kupp, to me, not only what he's done in the postseason, but in the regular season, he's been a constant. Cooper Kupp should be the MVP, and his team is in the Super Bowl.
And he's pretty humble and quiet and just goes about his business, doesn't he? And he's faster than you think.
He's faster, stronger. He's smarter. He's everything that a receiver should want to be. Cooper Kupp is a ball player, and I think he's definitely made his name for maybe being the first. We haven't had a wide receiver ever win the MVP.
Rice, he never won it.
Rice, I don't think
Jerry Rice.
No,
I don't think he did. No,
he had Joe Montana win it.
Yeah,
but I think Matt Stafford, a lot of praise for him, but I think Cooper Kupp has done his thing. But bringing up Matt Stafford, who are you more excited for or more happy for?
That's a great question.
Detroit fans or the Cincinnati Bengals?
Yeah, really. If I had to choose, I'd probably go with Stafford.
Yeah.
But just because what we were mentioning, he's been going at it now for 9-10 years, and I never heard any discouraging remarks from him.
No.
Never complained about being with Detroit. Just did his business, and now you get his team around him, how good he really is. On the other side, you got Joe Burrow, an up-and-coming guy who's playing really well in this Bengals team, 1989, last time they've been there. So if I had to choose, though, I'm going Stafford. You're
going to go Stafford.
Yeah.
I'm also going to go Stafford. I think it's really cool for the Rams. I'm really happy for the Bengals fans, though. Like I said, it's been so long since they even had a playoff win.
Them and the Bills, both.
Yeah,
by the way, did you see that reception that the Buffalo Bills got back in Buffalo when they back from that loss to the Chiefs?
Look,
it was nuts at the airport. So Josh Allen was,
yeah,
and they lost.
Yeah, the Bills Mafia is a different.
Yes, it
they're just a different creature. You know, I love seeing that type of appreciation when it comes to the city and how much they're behind the team.
And there's a team that they're good, and they deserve to be there one of these days.
You think about it, you're going to have in the future, we'll have Joe Burrow in these Bengals, which they're only going to get better.
Right.
Josh Allen in the Bills, Patrick Mahomes in the Chiefs, Justin Herbert and the Chargers.
I was going to say.
That Raiders team may continue to get better as well. That AFC.
And the Broncos with Aaron Rodgers. That's another
see
subject.
what you're doing there. Yeah.
Is he coming? I don't know.
I see what you're doing there.
We do have the Packers' old coach.
So, yeah. So the AFC may be something that, you know, when you look at the star power of quarterbacks, I made this argument with my dad, and maybe we can talk about this another time. I told my dad, I said, hey, man, you know what? The greatest era of football, I believe, is probably around 1994 to about 2005. And the reason why I say that is the amount of great talent that you had and the quarterback play we had. We had Dan Marino, Steve Young, John Elway, Randall Cunningham, Warren Moon. I mean, just imagine the guys. Joe Montana still played a little
Brady.
bit. Tom Brady's in there.
Wasn't he playing then?
Yeah, he was in there. You know, so I mean, Brett Favre was playing some of the best football. I feel like we're jumping. You know, history repeats itself. I feel like we're getting ready to jump right back into that.
All these quarterbacks coming up.
I think there's a great future for the NFL, and we're really excited for that Super Bowl. We do have the Rams and the Bengals. That is going to be February 13th. We'll be back on Friday to talk about that again.
That'll be great to talk about that.
So that's going to do it for 50-50. That's going to do it for Pat and Go. This is the last time I'm going to call it Pat and Go. After this, it will be the Paul Browning Show. Sayonara to Pat and Go. I really appreciated it. All the love that we've got there. But this is a good transition.
I think so.
You know, thank DJ. I thank Mike Lewis. I thank Flo. I thank a lot of people for how we started this thing. But now I think it's time for us to start jumping into more things.
Move forward.
Bigger and better things. Football, basketball, baseball, you name it.
Olympics.
Entertainment, Olympics, Beijing. We can talk Beijing. So we'll get that going. But make sure you like and subscribe at KPPF 1040 AM Radio. This is Pat and Go with Paul Browning. We will see you next week.